Hello there my friends, and welcome back to another learning tutorial video here on TA with MK. My name is MK. In today's video we're going to discuss some of the ways that you can find good setups to trade in crypto. Now the reason I say can find instead of how you do find is that there's many ways to find good setups, and in this video we're just going to discuss kind of my own personal take on how I identify some of the better setups. But just keep in mind, again, it's just my own personal way, and there's a lot of ways you can find good setups to trade. Now, this video was made more or less as a response to a question that I had in my Telegram group the other day. As always, I will leave the link in the description if you want to join that completely free group. Come chat with us if you get bored or just have questions about crypto or want to share some charts or ideas and so forth. But the question that he had, more or less, was how do I personally identify low-risk setups? Setups that have the highest chance of succeeding, with minimal risk. Now, that sounds easier said than done. However, there is a nuance to that. My mentor used to always tell us in our trading group that I was a part of that finding good setups and trading are two entirely different skill sets. One involves just a little more legwork, and that's the one where you're finding or identifying good setups because, at least in my opinion, which I'll explain in this video, it requires finding coins that possibly have news, they have the right hype words, they have the most eyes watching them, combined with having a good chart. Whereas just learning how to trade well could be as simple as just knowing your TA and finding a good chart from that angle. All right, before I blabber on anymore, we're going to go ahead and dive into today's topic, which is how to find or identify good setups to trade in crypto. And as always, if that sounds interesting to you or you just want to do me a huge favor because you think I'm awesome, please remember to like and subscribe, and let's go. It's TA with MK. It's TA with MK. Okie dokie, so the first thing that we're going to discuss, it may sound a little bit silly, but we want to find the coins that have the most attention. One of the things my mentor always says, and has said in the past many times, is where the attention goes, the money flows. So, because we're trying to make money or find where the money's going, we need to find where the attention is. So the first site that I go to every day if I'm looking for setups to trade is CoinGecko.com. I will leave a link in the description if you've never been to this site. Now there's a ton of things that you can use this site for, but specific to this video, we're just going to discuss how I use it to find what's trending. So you can see here it's listing just on its homepage, cryptocurrencies, prices by market cap. You can kind of see, okay, Bitcoin obviously has the highest market cap, Ethereum, the next highest market cap. So this isn't really telling you anything on a day-to-day basis. It's just telling you what the top coins are from a market cap point. That's by default. However, you can come over here and look at something like, okay, what's the top in the past 24 hours? If I click this, it's going to now arrange these to where I can see, okay, GRT is up 45.6% in the last 24 hours. It's the #1 coin during that time period. So if I click, for example, 7 days, same thing. I can see, okay, AGIX, Singularity Net, is the highest percent gainer in the past 7 days. So one of the things you can do, or I have done in the past, is you can take, say, the top 10 coins in the last 7 days and just write them down on your whiteboard or on a piece of paper somewhere, because as you kind of go through some of these ideas, you can kind of cross-check which coins are showing up in a few of these different places. So the next thing that I do on this site, outside of looking at what's trending over the last 7 days or even the last 24 hours, is I'll come up here to the search box on the top right and I'll just click. I won't search anything, but just by clicking it, it'll bring up about 7 or 8 coins that'll show that they're the most searched coins. I believe it's just for that day, but you can kind of cross-check and say, okay, several of these coins are obviously going to be over here on the left, down here where the list was of the last 7 days. But if there's a few that aren't there, you can also include those on your whiteboard, write them down, because ultimately we're going to circle back around and start looking at a few of these coins charts to try to kind of find as much confluence as we can between the attention that we're clearly seeing into some of these coins and then the TA. Does it add up? Is a good TA combined with in this case the trending searches? So if you were to take a snapshot or a screenshot of my screen right now, you can kind of see that between this trending list here and then the top coins over the last 7 days, there's a few coins that show up in both places. One being Singularity, AGIX, another being GRT, a third one being Baby Doge. And so we'll write those coins down, you know, or we'll put a star next to those coins kind of on our list, whether that's on a whiteboard or a notepad, to kind of say, hey, these are 3 coins that I might want to put a little extra attention to as I start going through the charts. And next up, we're going to go up here to the address bar, and we're going to go to one other site I like looking at. It's basically the same site as CoinGecko. It's coinmarketcap.com. I feel like these 2 sites could easily be brother and sister. They have a lot of the same information. However, I just want to again look to see over the last 7 days in this case, you know, what coins are showing up there. Looks like the list is very, very similar. And then I can go up here and click where it says search and just see if on this site there's any differences. Okay, I see AGIX is showing up again, but this one I see SHIB. Let me go down and see SHIB show up anywhere. It's number 13, so it isn't inside the top 10. However, it is, you know, pretty high on the list over the past, in this case, 7 days, and it's still showing up under CoinMarketCap's, you know, trending search list. Outside of that, do I see anything else showing up? Off the top of my head, just kind of quickly glancing, I can't say that I do see another one. SDAO, Hyper, Taboo, do we see any of those? I don't. So from CoinMarketCap, we're just going to write down SHIB. Now, one thing I will quickly mention before we move on to kind of my next step in identifying, you know, strong setups, is I would still recommend writing down maybe the top 10 to 15 coins from both of the websites we've went over so far, because as we get to the next step, you're going to want to see, hey, do any of these coins that maybe didn't show up under trending, but were still, you know, coins that were in the top 10 to 15, do they show up in this next part that we're going to talk about as well? So just want to throw that out there really quick. So the next website that I use is coinmarketcal.com. I will leave a link in the description. Now, there are many websites that do similar things to this one. This one's just the one that I've found to be my personal favorite, and it's just a website that will show you, you know, crypto coins that have upcoming news. Of course, you can cipher down to different categories. You can change the dates, try to focus more on coins maybe with news right away, or coins with news next month, and so on and so forth. But by default, it's just going to show you every coin with upcoming news, right? But what I'm looking for is coins on this list that are also, you know, in the top 10 to 15. I can see things as I scroll down the list. I might notice SNX here has some news coming up, right? It was a coin that was on the top 10 to 15 on the other page. I can go down, I can see something like Sandbox is on this list. Now, one thing you do want to do, or at least something that I personally do as I go through this list, if I start seeing a bunch of coins popping up, as we scroll through this for a couple of seconds, you'll see like DSLA pops up a lot. It wasn't in the top 10 or 15 right now that I noticed, but it does have a lot of news upcoming. I will create 2 different lists. I'll create a focus on now list and a focus on, or, you know, check back later list, so to speak. Because even though a coin may not have the attention now, if it has a lot of upcoming news, there's a good chance that, you know, in the next week or two, potentially, it could be, you know, the coin that has the attention. But anyway, you'll scroll through this list, you'll write down, you know, a few of the coins that pop up that you saw on the other list. I don't see any on this page. We'll move over to the 3rd page. We might scroll down a little ways. We might see something like EGLD has news. That's a pretty popular coin. Not on the top 10 right now, but a coin to keep on our radar. We keep scrolling through the pages. We might see something here in a second that we can cross-reference to the main page. Okay, OP, that's Optimism. It's an AI coin. It has some news coming up. Sand again, you know, so that's one we want to write down because, hey, it's not only in the top 10 to 15 on a couple of the trending searches and market cap searches, but it's also got some upcoming news, which kind of, you know, adds more confluence to the idea that it's going to keep the attention on it, you know, hopefully, and give us a chance to potentially trade it. We won't spend too much more time on this site. I see that OP again has some news coming up. Other than that, I'm not seeing too much else that's, you know, crossing over to our list, so we'll move on. Next up, I want to stress the importance of joining as many large Telegram group or Discord groups as you can, especially from major YouTube influencers. You have to understand that even though a lot of these major YouTubers talk a lot of nonsense, and to be honest with you, most of the time aren't really good at trading from what I can tell, they do have a lot of followers, and again, we're looking for where the attention is. So for example, a lot of times I'll just go into a Discord. Usually they're free, especially for some of the big YouTubers. Discords like the Moon car, right? And you can just go look and see what coins people are talking about. And if some of those coins that people are referencing or talking about happen to fall in line with these other two ideas we've talked about, again, put another star next to them or write them down again on a separate list, just because, you know, again, it'll just add more confluence to potentially being a coin you want to trade. Now, for the example I'm going to give in this video, it's actually a paid group I'm part of, so I'm not going to expose too much in here just so I don't get myself in trouble or in bad graces with a paid group. But they have a section within their group that goes over crypto news and fundamentals. So I can scroll through here and see, you know, the Sandbox shows up. So that clearly, that's probably one of the news that we found on the other page, but it may be something from their Twitter page as well, something that didn't show up on CoinMarketCal. So, okay, Sandbox clearly has a lot of attention on it. LDO, HBAR, you know, some of these coins that weren't on the top 15, but I might write them down, see if they're in the top 20 to 25. And, you know, I can use this list because I know this group, for example, if you scroll up, has almost 2,500 members. Some of the big YouTubers have more than that even in some of their Discords, or Telegram groups. And I can say, okay, clearly some of these coins have a lot of eyes on them, aka attention. So now at this point we have ourselves a small list of 5 or 6 coins. In this case I have 6 different coins. I've titled the list. Today's date at the time I'm making this video is, you know, February the 7th. Coins to watch now. Now these were the coins that kind of had, that, you know, that fell on a few of those different lists, or even all 3 in some cases. They were trending, they were top 10 or 15, and they had upcoming news. Now just for the examples of making this video, I didn't get as detailed as I normally would, but I would suggest, or just kind of a pro tip when making these lists, write down the dates of the news if they have news, because, you know, the whole phrase, you know, that you've probably heard before in crypto or stocks or trading in general, buy the rumors, sell the news, it really can be a thing, especially if a coin just has one major news event that coming up. So often that will lead to a lot of hype, and then after the news the coin fizzles out, or even often right before it, people will have bought the, you know, the rumor, but then right before the coin actually has the news, there's a sell-off. So you want to put those dates next to some of these coins, just so you kind of know, hey, there might be a potential expiration date on this trade. And even if the chart's looking good, if it hasn't, which, you know, that's what we're going to talk about next, but even if the chart's looking good, but it hasn't quite broken out yet or something, but the news is passed or is about to pass, you might know, hey, I might possibly want to look at a different coin. So we've got a pretty strong list here of 6 coins. Now clearly I'm only going to narrow it down to 1 or 2 to talk about this next part of the video, where we're going to go over the actual technical analysis, or, you know, the charts, so to speak. Now keep in mind that up to this point, a lot of people in the retail market have this ability to find these coins. In fact, there's a lot of people inside of the crypto space that are very, very good at finding where the hype is, but they, you know, they fall short when it comes to actually trading the charts. They buy, they hodl, eventually they, you know, they forget to sell because they don't know any better, and, you know, they lose all their gains. On the flip side, there's people like myself that are stronger at trading but not always the best at identifying these coins. Hence the reason why I said the guy asked me this question at the start of the video in the group. The key is to kind of try to blend the two together. And so I just wanted to mention that as we finish the video out, going over a couple of these setups, just understand that this is just as important as what we're about to go over, in my eyes. If you can master one, you'll probably be successful. If you can master the other, you'll probably be successful. If you can master both, you're going to be very successful. And just for the heck of it, the 2 that I've chosen to focus on for the TA part of this video, which should be brief, is going to be SHIB. No upcoming news, however, it's still a trending coin, which doesn't surprise me when the market's bullish. It's just one of those coins Elon talks about a lot. It's always got eyes on it. For better or for worse, right? So it's always a coin that if the market's doing well and it has attention, which clearly it does right now, it's worth taking a peek at. The other one we're going to look at is Sand. It's a huge Metaverse gaming coin, and clearly it has some upcoming news. And again, just kind of like SHIB, it always has eyes on it. It also fits one of the keywords inside the crypto space, always, which is Metaverse. Also want to quickly mention before we jump into the charts that AGIX, GRT, and OP, all of which are, you know, in some way categorized as AI, probably are your 3 strongest coins right now at the time of making this video. They fit the hype word. In OP's case, they have news, and AGIX, and they have probably the most attention on them right now. But I wanted to combine kind of the idea all the ideas, at least from this video, to go into a few charts. Now, AGIX, GRT, and OP have already all seen significant pumps recently. Could they continue to, and would they most likely, if as long as Bitcoin remains strong and the markets in general go up? Yes. But I just want to take this video a little different route and talk about a couple of the other coins on this list that clearly have just as much potential, but maybe aren't the ones that are already up, significantly. Now, this video is not meant to be about TA in itself, so I'm only going to quickly go over some ideas. If they don't make sense to you, watch some of the other videos in my trading playlist, which I always leave a link in the description for. As I'll mention maybe ideas or keywords that you maybe never heard of. If you watch some other videos, then they'll make sense. But anyway, so here we are on the SHIB daily chart. This is an idea that is bullish. You can see that we had this big drop in price dating back to early May of 2022 down to this level. You had a pump back up to this daily 200 moving average, and then price action most recently has rounded out at the same level. This is what's known as either an Adam and Eve, or ultimately the easier keyword for this is a double bottom. At this point, we could quickly draw kind of a line of what would be the neckline for the double bottom. That'd be this kind of zone up here at around 18, we'll just call it 18 cents, even though I know it's a bunch of zeros ahead of it. But anyway, so this would kind of be the level that in the short to midterm, you would expect price action to potentially visit at the very least, right? So you have potential for 25% just up to that neckline. If this was to be more of a long-term or mid-term trade, something you maybe hold on to for the next 3, 4, 6 months, you have bigger targets here. We can take the measured move if this double bottom were to break out. That's where you take, the level where the bottom's bounced up to the neckline, which was right here. And then you drag that up to where the potential breakout would happen. So say price action over the next few weeks was to come up here and break above this and flip it as support. You'd have a measured move clear up here at around 28 cents, we'll call it. And just from where we're at now, that could be potentially almost 100% gain. Now, of course, as always, you want to combine TA on different time frames, especially if you're not planning on trading the coin maybe more than short to midterm. So of course, you could scroll into something like the 4 hour. In this case, we'll go to the 1 hour, and we can see the price action has been kind of inside of this little consolidating wedge that it recently broke out of. Right now, you could say it's potentially retesting it, and you would use your normal TA skills to say, hey, at this point, I want to see a break of the last high in the wedge. If price action, it breaks above that, flips this zone as support. At that point, maybe for a short-term trade, you could ride it up to this next level of resistance or up to that larger zone we just spoke about. So just from a pure TA perspective, this is a strong-looking chart. There's a lot of bullish ideas, that you can put together with Confluence, with the fact that the coin is still trending, and as always, because of Elon Musk, it has a lot of eyes on it. And last but not least, we've got the daily chart for Sandbox, or SAND, which is the ticker, S-A-N-D. Now, this is a chart that actually I had posted here a week or 2 or 3 back in the trading group. Really where this was the strongest, combined with the upcoming news, is right around this point. You had basically this consolidation period right below resistance. It wasn't necessarily a super bullish pattern. However, anytime you see price action consolidating right below resistance, not being rejected majorly, you kind of have to lean a little bit more towards the bulls in that case, or the idea that a breakout is more likely than a breakdown. You got the breakout, and you got this pump from the 200 simple moving average, which was resistance, up to now it's trying to flip the 200 EMA as support. So that's where we're at right now on the chart. However, it doesn't mean that there's not any bullish ideas right now. In fact, some of the most bullish ideas could be happening right now. You have this major area that was resistance back here. What was this, November of this past year? It got rejected here. It's also been resistance here, it was support back here, and it was resistance back here. So you kind of have this zone that price action is currently hanging out below, right? A major zone of resistance. If the market remains bullish, this coin obviously will have attention on it. It's in the top 10 to 15 on most of your major websites. As far as percentage in the past 7 days, as we showed earlier in the video, it's also got some upcoming news. So if it can flip this as resistance, most likely at that point, it's going to visit the next range of resistance, which is up here, basically, around $1.10, and that's 13 to 14% gains. You've also got potential for it to visit up to the next one, 40% gain. So again, all coins in crypto, if Bitcoin's doing well, tend to go up. But the point of this video, as you're trying to identify the combination of a strong, I guess, less risky, potential trade, it really boils down to finding the coins that have the strongest TA charts, which in this case, this is a very strong chart. It had this giant falling wedge on the daily that it recently broke out of back, in early January or mid-January. That alone has a measured move, if you take it from the breakout, of clear up here to this fib level of the 886, which is around $1.40, right? And if you take percentage from where we're at now up to that, this could take weeks to a month to play out. If it plays out, that's 50% gains, which in the crypto space I realize isn't a lot for some people that are looking for 2, 3, 4, 10x's. But for a large cap like this that you can also on most exchanges trade with leverage, this would be about as low risk a play as you could find. Now granted, right now it's below resistance. I'm not saying now is the best time to trade it, but when you combine what we've talked about in this video, things like the fact that it has news, the fact that it's one of the top trending coins, and all of that, and then you see that it also has a strong pattern, from a TA perspective, you can say, hey, if this breaks out and flips this as support, especially with volume, something I always talk about in my video, this could be a coin that would be a lower risk trade, than some of the other setups that you might look at. So I hope you guys have found some of this helpful. And real quick before I sign off, those of you that maybe watch a video like this, still hoping that I'll give you some sort of an idea of where you might want to enter on one of these coins. So this is zoomed into the 15-minute time frame here on Sandbox. What I would do at this point is I would be looking for some sort of a bullish pattern to present itself here on these lower time frames. Let's just say we do see some sort of a volume break out of this little falling wedge, maybe some more consolidation. Ultimately, we get a little bit of an accumulation below the resistance and then a breakout with some sort of a spike in volume similar to the one we had back here from earlier today. At that point, things line up not only on the lower time frames but the higher time frames combined with all the other ideas we talked about. So, and as always, I want to thank you guys for making it to this point in the video. Big shout out to all of my subscribers. We were on a huge quest to make it to 1.5 subscribers, and we passed that quite some time ago. I'm just kidding, but anyway, as always guys, if you're enjoying the content and want to see more of it, do me a favor on your way out, please remember to like and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next one. It's TIMECODES.